people can level up at whatever level they're at. If they're level 0, which means they don't know what Bitcoin is, they can learn what Bitcoin is. If they know what Bitcoin is, well, you can learn how multi-sig works. You can learn how to have self-custody of your Bitcoin. And that's a big step. And you're going to be with people that care about you and love you as a human being at the conference, and they're going to show you how not to screw yourself. They're going to show you how to back up your stuff correctly. They're going to allow you to, like, whatever, if you need to buy like a hardware wallet or like a seed, a metal stamp kind of thing, everything is going to be there to help you get to whatever level you want to get to. Whether you want to jump 1 or 2 levels that day or that week, it's going to be possible. So I would say, for anyone who truly, wants to go down that path that I kind of outlined earlier, it's like learning Bitcoin, become technical, make an impact, build and, teach and, leave a legacy, and if they want to, go down that path, in my opinion, I want to help them get there. And that's why that's why I have TABConf.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Builders in Bitcoin podcast, a podcast about the people who bring Bitcoin to life. I'm your host, Rod, and I go by the handle BitKite on Twitter. My guest today is TABConf organizer and head of system operations at ZEBEDEE, Michael Tidwell. In this episode, we dig into what TABConf is and what its goals are, what to expect at TABConf this year, building a successful event that helps everyone walk away better off, and a lot more. Michael brought his signature wit with him to the studio, which made for a great conversation that I thoroughly enjoyed. So let's just jump right into it. Michael Tidwell, how the heck are you?
About 11 out of 10.
11 out of 10. Heck yeah. Tell me why? How?
Well, if you, I don't know, I'm just going to throw something in there. Like 11 plus 10 is 21, and that's like a Bitcoin-y number, and I'm like 21. Boom.
Nice. Boom. Drop the mic.
Just random.
Time we're done with the pod.
All right, there we go. It was fun, Rod.
Buddy, every time you come to Nashville, it's such a joy. Thanks for making the trip. If you're here for Grassroots Bitcoin, you just did a presentation, which was a banger, and you had the crowd going.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that essentially what you're calling a banger was a 25-minute sales pitch. It's like, who's happy about hearing a sales pitch for 25 minutes? I'm like the ad that you can't skip for 25 minutes.
All right,
still a banger,
you be the anti-TABConf guy, and I'll be the pro-TABConf guy in this conversation.
Perfect. So why should I come to TABConf?
Well, the tickets are free, right?
If you can find a free ticket, they're free.
That's right.
As long as you can find a free ticket.
So I'd go into the promo code and start putting in a bunch of different options, right?
Just brute force it until you find one that gives you a free ticket, obviously.
Rock and roll.
You're like, wait a minute, staff 69? What is this code?
There may be a different one. No, I'm just joking. But no, in all seriousness, do you think we have too many conferences and events or not enough?
That's a great question. I would say pre-Bitcoin 2021, we obviously didn't. Can we just kind of take a step back and mention some of the things David Bailey did to kind of influence this space?
Sure.
Okay, so David Bailey's done 3, in my opinion, remarkable things that have influenced me. And you know David, right?
I do.
Okay, so the first thing that he did was in Tennessee that I can remember. It was distributed health.
Yep.
Okay, and I know like his family helped, or he had different people or whatever. It wasn't like the core team that he has now, but lo and behold, David was kind of definitely a core piece of that event, and that was really cool. He did a hackathon before the event. He was involved. He had a lot of passion. That's back when a lot of us were more or less blockchainers, not Bitcoiners. But regardless, that was one of the first major conferences I went to, besides like maybe the Miami, Mo 11 kind of conferences. Yep. And
the original Bitcoin, or not the original, but
TNABC, the North American
That's
Bitcoin
right.
Conference. Yeah.
Yep.
So I liked what David was doing, right? And then David did a second kind of remarkable thing, which was in California. He decided, I believe this was in 2019, I want to say, he decided to go Bitcoin only for his content for the conference.
So, do you know how that came about?
Tell me. I figured because he got more into Bitcoin and he was trying to prevent people from getting scammed. But I mean, that's my
Well,
take
that's
on
not
it.
the point of this podcast, but DM CK, and he'll tell you a good story. But it is awesome that they are Bitcoin focused and doing that. So, to answer the question, I'm going to go all the way back. Do we have too many conferences or do we too little?
Well, I don't get to finish my third thing.
Oh yeah, third thing.
All
Go
right,
ahead.
third thing is in 2021, he made the whole world realize again that we could have conferences in
Yeah,
Miami.
very
So
good.
those are the three things that he's like super done to influence me. Now, in terms of like the conferences that are going on that are like prominent, like in America versus overseas, and dude, like if the reason I bring this up, like this little history of David Bailey in the 2021, him bringing this back. Before then, it's like there weren't like I feel like after that conference, everyone felt like they could do a conference
Yep.
again, including me
Yeah.
again, even in new people that haven't been running conferences. We had all the stuff in El Salvador going on. We had now we're having like Pacific this and European that and yeah, I would say at this point, if you're trying to hit every Bitcoin conference, you have a very busy schedule.
Totally.
So I would say, it's obviously nice to have a conference in your local city. And I could see an idea of like, have you seen Bitcoin Day? Are you familiar with the
Yeah.
Bitcoin Day model? So the Bitcoin Day model is he does 1 day events in like random cities that don't really have a strong like Bitcoin kind of conference-ish kind of. It's not like a Bitcoin conference city.
hmm
So I could see something like that happening where you have like smaller events, but for like big events as Bitcoin becomes more mainstream, I would imagine you're gonna have more niche stuff like this, like Grassroots. TABConf is a bit more niche than like a general purpose kind
Yep.
of conference, and I would think similar to the internet, we're just gonna have more specialized conferences that are gonna be like if you're interested in like tech, you don't go to the technology
Yeah.
conference. You know what I mean? Like you might if that is a conference, but you'll go to like the database conference or the hacker
Exactly.
conference or the networking conference or the Jenkins the CI/CD tool has a conference on its own. It's a Jenkins World Conference. I mean, there's a conference for all kinds of tech. So I could see, you know, there being more specialized conferences here in the future.
You nailed my response, which I couldn't agree more. With Bitcoin growing in popularity, the capital B, the monetary network, and of course the lowercase b, the reserve asset, and all the different facets of Bitcoin, whether it's Lightning, mining, layer one, layer zero with mempool, or all the layer two applications being built, I think you're going to see a lot more niche events pop up. And actually, I would argue we need more events, especially in your local areas, whether that's a meetup to a 1 day workshop to a full blown, if you got the energy, just do it. I think there's just so much opportunity ahead. But let's talk about TABConf. I've
Sure.
never been. Why
I-
should someone like me, who's not smart, not good looking,
Well, if you're not good looking, I mean,
well, I actually don't want to. You have actually no filter, so I don't want to tee you up with jokes that will be somewhat inappropriate. So I'm going to help you out
because
here.
I'll go hook, line, sinker
Yeah,
for all of them.
I know,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to let you do that,
So,
especially on
you,
this
you
PG
care
pod.
about me. Thank you.
I do actually care about you.
Yeah, I appreciate
No,
it.
you've made
You're like my PR representative right now.
No, you're gonna be a friend, and then you're gonna mess up somewhere, and then I'll be like, yeah, okay. But in all honesty, of course, you're in the Atlanta area, and it's a 2.5 hour drive, 3 hours.
We're more on the 3.5 hour side without traffic.
Okay.
Idea. If it's traffic, who the hell knows? Because coming up here, there's 3 wrecks, and I was not expecting that.
Yeah, and you found out that we're in Central Time Zone. You hit up our
Oh, I was
Telegram.
freaking out. I was concerned for everyone's. Like, I thought everyone might have like got
Left.
kidnapped. I thought everyone got kidnapped. I was really
Michael's-
concerned.
We had a 10 a.m. start at Central Time, and Michael's like front row, seated, ready to go. And
I was like setting up the room, like, all right, anyone's gonna come. Maybe they're just tired, and it's like 10:30. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start reaching out. This is. I'm either in the wrong spot or something's wrong here. There's not this many hungover people. And
Yeah.
it's like actually 9:30. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. So again, thanks for coming. This is your, I think, third time coming out to Nashville. First time at Bitcoin Park. We held a 2-day curated event where we invited about 100 meetup organizers from across the U.S. and actually outside the U.S. as well. And it was I think, a pretty special time, at least from my perspective. I made so many new connections, learned a ton, and now have even more inspiration and enthusiasm to create really cool Bitcoin experiences here locally. Um, and that's why I'm like coming in and a good transition over to TABConf in your presentation. I think that energy and that spirit is going to be on display at TABConf. So, but in all seriousness, like, why should someone come to TABConf?
Uh, well, I have this in my presentation. I don't know how you want to tackle it, but I'll give the TLDR, right? The TLDR is um, if if someone knows about Bitcoin, what's the next step? And the next step, in my opinion, is to get technical so you can have a bigger impact on what you're doing.
Yeah. So you want to go through that actually? I think it's like the first slide, to be honest with you.
Sure. Do you want me to just kind of stop after I answer your question, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just run through this presentation here. So, uh, kind of like a joke, almost like a Times article, like opinion piece. I put that there as my disclaimer that, if you disagree with any of this, it's probably because you're right and it's just my opinion. So,
And there are some folks that are just listening to this podcast. So his title of the presentation, which will probably be the title of the podcast, which is The Most Organic, Impactful Bitcoin Conference.
there you go. So I'll make sure, thank you for letting me know. I'll make sure to read off what I'm seeing on the screen here. And we're allowed to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be published probably either on Wednesday or
Okay.
a couple weeks after.
So Alex Gladstein was here at the conference. Despite the Twitter trolls calling him a Fed, we allowed him to come to the conference and speak his case, and he was very interesting. He's always covering something like crazy that it's like you have no idea about if you're like a normal United States citizen. He said something along the lines of during his presentation with Fadi.
Yep.
He said, he sees a lot of virtue signaling. There's a lot of like hashtag this and hashtag that. And really, the thing that you can do if you actually care about what's going on in the world and actually how you can have an impact in your own way that actually is meaningful is help someone get to understand Bitcoin, like get someone onto Bitcoin. This is actually going to be more impactful than you going on Twitter or social media or something and saying something potentially, everything has, but what if, or, context, but he was pretty much going that this is actually significant, more than people may think, is getting just one more person onto Bitcoin. And kind of going off of that, it's all about impact. You want to make sure you're spending your time wisely. You want to make sure you're having maximum impact. You're being the best you can be. So in my tangent or where I'm going with this is you learn about Bitcoin. So the person who's learning about Bitcoin, what's the next step? Well, they get technical, and TABConf is one of the ways that they can get technical very quickly. I mean, what better way if you are interested in something technology-wise than have 4 days or 3 days with the person who actually invented the thing? You know what I mean?
Totally.
If you can like, you're like, man, I'm really interested in this BIP or this protocol or like whatever, Taro, because that's new. It's like the guy, Lightning Labs and, a lot of the Lightning people are going to be there and they're actually going to put on like a 2.5 hour workshop on Taro. Bring your laptop, it's like what better way, you know what I mean? So, we're trying to facilitate people to get to that next level, the technical level, and naturally go to the next part of that, which would be after you're technical. Well, what do you do? Well, you build something, whether that's a company, a product, and contribute to an open source project, and you teach others. So that's, in my opinion, the next logical step. Now, you obviously are always learning more about Bitcoin. You're always getting more technical. These aren't linear progressions. You'll recursively go back to some of these things and refine things. But naturally speaking, what you do after that is you focus on how do I want to leave my legacy? After you learn about Bitcoin, you get technical, you're building stuff, you're teaching others. How do you want to leave your legacy? And what do you want to do to leave a legacy? And, these are questions where, it's like, well, you want to start thinking about your health. You want to maximize your life on earth and healthy years, so you can achieve your goals. You want to maximize your impact. So you don't want to waste your time doing stuff. You want to do something that's meaningful, right? Um, there's a lot of ways this can be interpreted a lot of different ways, right?
Totally.
And TABConf, in my opinion, helps with the middle two of that, getting technical and helping teach others and build. No one should define what your dream is. No one should define what you think, what your legacy should be. That should come from you internally, whether that's, creating a great big family or just working on a product, whatever it might be.
Mhm.
Uh, that's going to be a very unique kind of up to the person. But TabConf, in my opinion, is helping with these middle two, get technical and teaching and building. So that's the focus there. I would say the first one, learning about Bitcoin, I would say most people that are coming to the conference already know about Bitcoin. They don't need to be orange pilled. They are looking for the next step.
Yep.
If they don't know about Bitcoin, they are obviously welcome. And we actually have beginner style criteria for those people. But most of the content is going to be geared to people who already think Bitcoin's badass.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. And
Yeah. Keep
that kind of
going.
answers. Okay.
Yeah, it does. But
That answers your question. You want me to keep going?
Yes.
Okay. So I came up with this quote kind of like yesterday. So just disclaimer, anytime I make a presentation, it's usually like an hour or two before the thing because I want to make sure everything's fresh. And that's why I quoted a lot of people in the
That's
talk.
awesome. I love this quote, by the way.
Yeah, this is from Mother Teresa. When she was really big into Bitcoin,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Did she go down the Ethereum path or something?
I think she left her legacy and she was done.
That's done.
It's a beautiful thing.
That is actually a beautiful thing.
Um,
Do you think you'll ever stop working in Bitcoin?
No. I mean, I want to leave a legacy, but here's the deal: like Bitcoin, right? And let me just read the quote: like, let's make Bitcoin not our dream, but have Bitcoin make our dreams come true. Which means Bitcoin shouldn't be anyone's dream per se. It should be a tool to helping you get to achieving your dreams. And I think one company that really encompasses this idea really well is not Compass, but actually Start9. I don't know why I threw that in. I just play on words, but Start9 essentially is like very like agnostic when it comes to the tooling. Like they agree Bitcoin is the best money and we should be using Bitcoin because that's going to help us get to where we are. But they're looking at the whole stack of freedom and liberty and how you can have essentially liberty computing, right? Whole stack. And that's like their dream is to make, free open source, liberty driven, kind of software, modules, runtime, everything, right? Operating system, hardware, etc. And they see Bitcoin as a piece of that, which I totally love because Bitcoin should help you get to where you're trying to go. And I think we have, some cultural things going on right now where I think we need to kind of take the reins and kind of help people understand like, hey, look, if, you don't want, you need to think about money and like money is not, I guess you can say we don't want Bitcoin for the sake of having Bitcoin. We want Bitcoin for the sake of having, more freedoms or, whatever, your goals might be.
Yeah, I think you had it on the other slide at the bottom right corner. Financial freedom, health, diet, mental, physical, spiritual. And I would say, yeah, it's a tool to help you achieve the aspirations, whatever they may be in life. Like you're a different age than me. You're
I'm a little bit older.
No, you're not. You're way younger than me, bud. Okay, I'm gonna make up some stuff, but maybe you're married and you don't have any kids yet. I am married and I have kids. I need to put them. I want to be putting them through school, their health care, like a number of different things that are on my list. We probably need, as we aspire to have a bigger house, just to do a number of different things. Each of our aspirations are different. Bitcoin, the monetary network, as well as Bitcoin, lowercase b, the reserve asset, allows me the opportunity to preserve my future purchasing power such that I can then achieve those aspirations in my life. So I can't agree more. I mean, even though my time, capital, and reputation is pretty much all in working in Bitcoin, Bitcoin is just a tool.
Yeah, and it's also like for people like us who are like helping run events and
Yeah.
foster communities, it's definitely a coincidence of once. And I would say it should be it should be everyone's goal to just straight up try to get financial freedom.
Yeah.
They should your goal should be like tr- you know selfishly try to make sure you're independent, you can take care of yourself. You have the ability of financial freedom, and you don't have to stress your life out, so you can actually focus on making that impact and doing going towards your goals. And after you get that financial freedom, I think a lot of bitcoiners, their next logical step is like kind of what I was alluding to earlier is, okay, now I need to focus on my health.
Yeah.
Now I need to focus on, the next logical steps, and Bitcoin really enables that, where I feel like a lot of people, they never even get the opportunity to think about their health
I know.
because they're so worried about making their next, paycheck or, whatever, paying the rent and whatever it might be. And kind of sucks.
By the way, pop over
Yeah.
2 more slides forward and nope. Yep, next one. Nope, you're going forward. By the way, you look really that one. You look really good.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've seen you, but you like look really healthy.
I thought you were making a joke. Yeah. I went keto
Okay.
and 6 months ago, and I've been not like super religious with it, but I've been say
You're
90%.
kind of religious last night about it.
Yeah, I try hard. Even like I hate when people are like, "Oh, I was on this diet, but then I traveled, or then this holiday came
Yeah,
up." I'm like,
good point.
"Dude, what self-control? You should be ashamed of yourself." I know that's really mean to say, but I'm just gonna go and be like, you should try to prevent yourself from having these excuses. So
Yeah.
I try to avoid having, if I'm gonna be critical of others, I
Yeah.
might as well be critical of myself.
Totally. So
Yeah.
you had the quote, and we were talking about that, and then
Mhm.
what was the next slide after that?
So this quote, you got this.
Oh,
TABConf maximizing impact of a grassroots Bitcoin event. I think that's just a repeat. And then I go over the goals of TABConf.
and
Like,
what are they?
so in my opinion, you need to kind of define your goals if you're going to run an event, if you're going to run a conference, because you won't know if you're actually straying from the original vision or if you need to redefine what you're actually trying to accomplish. You don't want to get in a position where you're running this super organic event and then it becomes, you start disenfranchising the core people and then it becomes something like kind of ugly, you know? So the reason I'm talking about the goals of the conference is to let everyone know this is the culture. These are the goals that I have. This is what I'm trying to foster here. And, I hope you can get behind this because this is what I want to, be viral here. And let's see, we have 7 goals here. One is Bitcoin focused, but not Bitcoin blinded.
Yeah, I think you gave a great example with the tornado cash.
Yeah, and the example of the tornado cash was we had a presentation where we essentially talked about how Ethereum works, how it worked with Tornado Cash. We broke it down. We talked about issues. We talked about cool things that were happening with it. We talked about everything in between. We talked about bad things and good things, and we kept it very tech focused. And I think that's very important. That's a very important caveat that you keep these things tech focused because at the end of the day, I believe you only need one best money. You don't need multiple best monies. You only want one, strong type of money because that's when, you get the best
Mhm.
network effect. And, I haven't necessarily thought out all the caveats of having multiple monies, but from what I understand and what I've kind of thought through, the world only needs one money. As long as it doesn't like disenfranchise a group or whatever. If the money can be used for the whole world and it can be done on one network,
Yep.
you know, I'm not too sure that there's a use case for a bunch of coins. So the reasoning. So let me repeat the goal: Bitcoin focused, but not Bitcoin blinded. This is the idea that we don't blind ourselves to missing out on interesting, cool ideas that were happening in other projects. Another example is Andrew Polstra, being involved with the Grin conference uh, in California, where he was, interested in what was going on. He gave a presentation, and I think we shouldn't be ashamed of looking, being tech curious and looking at other projects. And I think there's a lot of Bitcoin maximalists, especially like this new toxic neo generation, where it's shunned upon to even speak of other projects, which is kind of, as long as we all agree like there should only be one money and it's Bitcoin. Why do we, what we need to make sure we're not putting up the blinders too hard and potentially filtering out
Yeah.
actual legitimate things.
Seems a bit fragile in that regard.
Well, I have a theory where if Bitcoin were to lose market dominance, it would be because of the blinders that we put up. Not saying this will happen, but there's only one way to go from if you're number one, and that's down. So maintaining number one position is extremely hard.
Yeah.
And I think we need to be very cognizant of what it's going to take for us to keep number one, whether that's filtering out, finding that good ratio of filtering out spam and bad ideas and not filtering out good ideas. It's very hard, but it's something we definitely need to think about. I think a lot of people are just kind of torn up about the amount of scams and spam from other projects, so they just end up filtering everything. And I don't think that's the right approach. You'll be right 99% of the time, but 1% of the time you might be wrong. You might miss something.
So I told you we're going to just chat for like 25, 30 minutes and then not get into any of this.
Are we done?
No, we're we're done. Thank you. Do you want to sign up? No.
We're gonna I hope that motivated you to come to TABConf. Our goals are Bitcoin focused, but not Bitcoin blinded. Thank you.
Yeah. So
I can be quick on these next ones.
Yeah.
So cheap in price, but not quality. Self-explanatory. Technical in nature, educational in spirit. So this is, I'll just kind of say, like, we want whoever to be able to come. We're not trying to price gouge. We're very on the up and up on that. We are technical focused, welcoming and safe, which means we understand there's a lot of Bitcoin Core devs coming, a lot of newbies coming. We want people to feel safe and welcomed. This is a public event, but we do cap how many people we allow to come. We don't let...
How many people?
We would cap it probably this year around 750, 1,000.
Oh, wow. That's a big...
Yeah, we would not allow more than that.
Yeah.
We may not get over 600, 700 people. I mean, that would be like last year we had 500 people, and we're targeting that right now as our current, poll. We might have a little bit more than that. We might have 600, but we'll see. With that being said, we really want this golden ratio of plebs, and I'm calling this new thing plexperts, because everyone now, even like really advanced, sophisticated, technical people are calling themselves plebs. So it's like, okay, what's a pleb now? A pleb is like kind of losing meaning here. So you want to make sure your newbies and your experts have a good ratio. So I think what we're targeting is like 2 to 1, 1 to 1 kind of ratios, where 50% to 33 to 50% of all the attendees are going to be highly technical, which means if you have something that you need to understand, like you have someone there and not one person is being bogged down too hard, kind of idea. And this is also an opportunity where experts get to learn from other experts. So no matter how technical you are, there's going to be someone there to teach you something. Building and creativity, fostering that vibe. So this is the idea that kind of gets into the villages. Yeah. There's a co-founder, Brandon, and I. We pretty much put down all the down deposits, all the money. We try to take the logistics out of running a conference. So we reserve the venue, we get the insurance, we pay for the food, we register, figure out the after party, we do the open bar, we do the taxes, we figure out all the things that it takes to run a conference, and we try to take that out of the equation so people can just focus on the cool stuff, which is the content. And then we give venue space away for free to people to actually run that content, and then we try to get it sponsored, to help pay for it, and that's the village model. So that helps build that creativity.
I'm going to drill into each of the villages, which I'm super stoked
cool
about.
And then our last one is transparent and open. So we'd like to do a transparency report at the end. We make no money from the conference, and we like to show you how we spend the money and how we're spending your dollars and how we want to earn you to come back next year. So we always like to say, like, look, you probably, if you want to guesstimate how much things cost, you're probably way over or way under. Mm-hmm. And this is a very kind of interesting kind of closing ceremonial event that we do. So the dates are the 12th through the 15th. We have Builders Day on the 12th, workshops on the 13th, and then we have the panels, talks, and villages on the 14th and 15th. and that's at the Omni Center downtown,
In
which is
Atlanta.
also a hotel. Yeah. And then Builders Day is going to be different things to different people. So if you're highly technical and you know, like, hey, this person that I've been trying to talk to for a while, I need to talk to him, and he's in person, and he can maybe help you with like becoming a first time contributor to an open source project. That's awesome. If you're new, it's going to be more like a Renaissance fair of like, hey, I'm just going to explore and understand like what actually exists
Mhm.
because I don't know what open source projects exist. So it's going to give everyone an opportunity. And I think what we're also going to do on Builders Day is start the 3D printer. So if people are just like, look, I'm not a software programmer. I just want to build stuff and like do some hacky stuff. Like we're gonna have like other things for everyone there. But the idea is we're not doing a hackathon. This is an experiment because we did a hackathon last year. The reason we're not doing a hackathon this year is we want to see what happens when you don't have a prize that you have to go for, when you can build whatever you want. It's not dictated like, hey, if you do this, you're gonna get this prize from this company. It's more like build whatever you want because work on your passion because this is what you want to potentially work on after you leave the conference. So make your relationships, figure out, what tools you want to use, what softwares, what libraries, etc. And figure out what you actually want to do it because we want to help you. These are the people that made a lot of the people here are like the ones that made this stuff. So the idea of a workshop is hands-on. So bring your laptops to these guys. Um, it's
I
a
think this
workshop
is
in a real
awesome.
sense.
Some workshops we'll have
Yeah.
is pretty awesome.
Yeah, this is I think we're gonna have 18 workshops, but I just grabbed the list of the ones I would personally like to go to. So there's the Taro, LDK. If you don't know, LDK is Lightning Development Kit that's kind of being pioneered by Spiral. We have Hacking Lightning. So actually, like, we're gonna hack the Lightning Network, apparently.
Who's leading this one?
He's kind of got like a pseudonym, Tony. I don't know if he wants to be doxxed.
Okay.
I rather not. But he's going to be running that one. Um, if it helps, he looks like Ron Jeremy.
Yeah, no, he's a good friend.
Building Bitcoin hardware starter kit. This is a really cool workshop because you get like a free Raspberry Pi when you go to this. You get like all the hardware for free. Fedimint module. Start9 Embassy module, Magma workshop. So if you have like excess liquidity, how do you make some money off of that? Similar to like, loop and pool type
Yep.
kind of ideas. LNC web, LSATs. If you don't know what that's like the Buck Purley kind of is pioneering that project, Lightning Auth. And then Jeremy Rubin's got this really interesting thing going on that I have no idea how it's going to work, but the title that he sent me was 98% real Bitcoin smart contracts learn by playing a video game. And I asked him, like, is this like layer 2? He's like, no, layer 1. I'm like, wait, what? So I have no idea what this is like. This is going to be very interesting for me.
Let's say I'm technical. What's the best way to prepare for TABConf?
Builders Day. This is the day before the workshops. Get everything set up on your computer, talk to the people, sign up, etc. We're going to make it where you can sign up for some of these guys ahead of time. But the idea of Builders Day is also a sync day. That's a good question. It's also a sync day to get your laptop ready, get your environment ready, figure out what you actually want to do so you can plan out the next day, which is the workshop day.
Got it. So Builders Day on October 12th, Workshop Day on October 13th.
You got it.
And then what happens?
Then we jump into,
this is awesome.
Yeah, the people listening aren't going to be able to see this, but Andrew Polstra is doing this insane, I want to say it's Volvel, VOLVELLE, I think. Yeah. Anyways, it's like pretty much like paper, like spinner kind of thing where you spin paper around and you create a seed, and then you don't need to trust hardware or software. And according to Andrew, this is how he stores his private, like he stores Bitcoin. So the idea is like, I mean, let's be real. Like, seed signer is cool and like all that's great. I like the idea of saying, how can we also do this in different ways? Depending on your level of paranoia.
Yeah.
And I think it's very interesting. I don't know if his idea is going to take off, but I'm going to give him room to essentially show you how you can Bitcoin without electricity. You know what I mean?
That's
like how to
awesome.
create your seed. Obviously you're going to need to propagate stuff eventually, but you can create like a private public key pair. Like, that's kind of impressive without software. You know what I mean? So it's going to be really interesting. And I think he's bringing 50 kits, but if we have more than 50 people sign up, like, he's going to have like booklets to like show you how to do this. he will actually, like, he's doing really nice printouts. He'll actually print more because I think he's going to print more in Atlanta if more people sign up for this
That's
workshop.
cool.
Yeah.
So 2 things. One, signing up for the workshop. So that's another thing you can prep for is like part of the registration process, you sign up for these specific workshops or no?
Probably about a week before the conference, we'll start sending out emails
Dope.
for people to sign up.
Dope.
Yeah.
Second, is this going to be recorded and distributed?
No.
Okay, so no recordings.
There will be some recordings, but that will mainly be the main stage.
Yep, love that.
Bit devs will have to choose what they want to record and what not to record. Same with Villages.
Cool.
It's up to them.
So
Yeah.
which may be the next, okay.
Yeah, and I'm just hyping one talk because this is like one talk I'm really interested in. The Async Q Eclair guys, they're coming to talk about how they actually run their stuff. And if you are a Lightning guy and you or girl and you're doing high throughput on a single node, if you're doing seriously high throughput on a node, you will find scaling issues right now with current implementations. For instance, like with LND, which will typically lead you to run multiple LND nodes, especially when you start getting millions of transactions and stuff. A lot of tools starts breaking down and all this kind of things, especially because they don't support pagination and whatever it might be, and then just like nodes are slow. Whatever Async Q is doing, they're like, yeah, we're doing something like some HTLC interceptor kind of idea or something that's like really, really interesting because they're running like literally the biggest node, and like LND right now could not support this. So it'll be very interesting to see them pretty much giving a presentation on the guts of their, what they're doing. And I'm really interested. I mean, I know it's open source, but like, who's taking time to like run Async Q's Eclair stuff? I don't know anyone running it in prod at their company, So I think it's going to be cool if they start, bringing this to the forefront where we feel a little bit more comfortable using this.
Awesome.
Talking about villages, we have 4 villages this year: the BitDev Socratic, the Next Gen Village, the Pleb Dev Village, and the Gaming Village. You can think of the Socratic Village probably as the most technical, kind of like Socratic oriented. They're going to have fun stuff in there like trivia, but it's not going to be your everyday trivia. It's going to be like, what's BIP number, blah, 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 and then who did it? And it's like, it's going to be very technical kind of trivia, in other words. And essentially Bitcoin nerd trivia, I would imagine.
Love that.
But it's going to be fun because there's going to be a lot of OGs in there that are like battling it out. And the Next Gen Village, you can see that as more or less this year a generalist kind of idea. Like it's going to be a capture-all of many ideas, like hardware. They want to like make it kid friendly. So like if you're bringing your son or daughter and they're like kind of young, like the idea is they also want to make it somewhat kid friendly. We'll probably set up the 3D printers in that area as well. The Pleb Dev Village is going to be somewhere between like newbie and super, super advanced. It's supposed to be pleb friendly, similar to like what Lisa, it's going to be essentially the Texas team. That's why we're using that cowboy hat.
Yeah.
And then the Gaming Village, that's going to be primarily run by ZEBEDEE. And that's going to be like a super chill, lo-fi kind of music, chill room kind of like idea. You can like go in there, earn some sats, play some video games, like hang out, get some work done kind of idea if you need to do like a day job while you're at the conference.
Dude, for one person that's organized a few events in his time, this just seems like a lot of organization.
It helps when you have help.
It
So
helps when
I
you
have a
help.
team. I used to do this all by myself in like 2018.
Uh-huh.
And ever since 2019, I've had a significant amount of help from the community as they start to like see the mission and the message, and it's gotten a lot easier, especially now that I have Brandon doing all the back end admin type taxes and business stuff.
Oh, nice.
That I hate doing that stuff. Yeah.
And is that the next slide? Maybe the team? Oh, no, okay.
So one thing that we do every year is we do a Capture the Bitcoin challenge. And this is like a really cool kind of scavenger hunt puzzle where at the conference, if you feel like, hey, I just want to like figure out this Illuminati type puzzle to get this Bitcoin, like we have that for you too. Kind of like piggybacking off the Capture the Flag idea from like DEF CONs.
Yeah.
So we're instead of a CTF, Capture the Flag, we're doing a CTB, Capture the Bitcoin.
It was cool. I think like when you polled the audience, whether I think you asked like whether they knew about TABConf or attended TABConf. I think like half the room attended, and then there was like two people. One person just two people made comments. One person made a comment and said, "I went to TABConf and I was inspired to start a BitDevs."
There you go.
How awesome was
That
that?
was I was like, wow.
Oh, you didn't tee him up?
No, no, that was all improv. What? Oh, are you joking?
No, I'm being serious. I mean, I honestly thought.
Oh no,
like, you're
no, that I didn't. I was like, man, I could have teed that up any better if I wanted to.
It was the best.
Yeah, like that's amazing. Yeah.
And I don't know if he wants me to say it, so I'm just going to talk a little bit more general. But he was one of the most engaged folks at Grassroots Bitcoin. Attended all the sessions, even the workshop I held on Wednesday, and we did our first monthly development update with Steve Myers, and he was just awesome. And he's coming to TABConf this year, which will be awesome. And then the second person, which was Capture the Bitcoin, he won
Yeah.
last year.
So if you're wondering like what the hell is this Capture the Bitcoin thing, I actually made a 15-minute YouTube video going over the puzzle from last year to give you hints,
Oh, cool.
like in ideas, like to kind of show you how my brain thinks, because I'm making the next one, so you can kind of have like help. And it's not going to be a lot of help, but it'll at least kind of give you an idea of what we did last year. And if you just go to YouTube and like search in Capture the Bitcoin TABConf, you'll find it.
We'll put it in the show notes,
Yeah.
Tom.
If you are interested in Capture the Bitcoin, it's definitely worth watching, and it's very entertaining. People at the conference were so busy that like having fun building whatever, that they didn't actually do Capture the Bitcoin. They actually watched the video later and be like, "Oh my god, I didn't realize it was that sophisticated." So
I spent 10 days now.
Yeah. But and when I'm
By the way, this is my mental blocker right here for attending. I've never been to a TABConf. I'm being totally honest, and I'm probably coming this year. But I always felt I was not technical enough, and this was a technical conference. And so on this side, it says something I've heard quite a bit. I'm not technical.
Correct. And my response always to that is people can level up at whatever level they're at. If they're level 0, which means they don't know what Bitcoin is, they can learn what Bitcoin is. If they know what Bitcoin is, well, you can learn how multi-sig works. You can learn how to have self-custody of your Bitcoin. And that's a big step. And you're going to be with people that care about you and love you as a human being at the conference, and they're going to show you how not to screw yourself. They're going to show you how to back up your stuff correctly. They're going to allow you to, like, whatever, if you need to buy like a hardware wallet or like a seed, a metal stamp kind of thing, everything is going to be there to help you get to whatever level you want to get to. Whether you want to jump 1 or 2 levels that day or that week, it's going to be possible. So I would say, for anyone who truly, wants to go down that path that I kind of outlined earlier, it's like learning Bitcoin, become technical, make an impact, build and, teach and leave a legacy, and if they want to, go down that path, in my opinion, I want to help them get there. And that's why that's why I have TABConf,
Rock and roll.
And these are some people that are helping. Brandon and I are founders. Steven joined us last year, and this year, Brianna, same thing. A lot of these people are repeats. There's so many people that help, and there's a lot of people that do day of stuff that I couldn't put everyone on the slide. But the idea is just there's so many people that help. There's a lot of people that love the idea that, look, we're not doing this for money. Last year, we donated all the profits to Brink OpenSats and HRF. So we're trying to make sure people understand our intentions are true. Now, one day we may try to start acquiring assets like projectors and monitors and screens, so we don't like have to like stress ourselves out and put these down deposits out of our personal money every time, and which is one of our goals. So we might start trying to capture some of this profit and leave it in our checking account, But I want people to know straight up that this is a conference for the people. This is not a conference for us to get rich, because we already have good jobs. Everyone on this list has a good job, and we all do this because we want to help build the world that we want to see.
So do all these people work in Bitcoin?
Yes. Well, there's going to be some people that are Bitcoin adjacent. Like
Sure.
there's some people at NCR helping. It's not quite
That's
a
cool.
Bitcoin company, but they're
They're
dabbling.
the Bitcoin focused person
Yeah.
at the company.
Um, there's a lot of people that help out that aren't directly in the Bitcoin space that that definitely help
Awesome.
as well. Yeah, they're fiat mining, as they say. Yeah,
I think I need to start fiat mining.
yeah. And then I just want to say, and this is like really kudos to you and Matt and everyone involved. The Grassroots Bitcoin event. If anyone's listening to this and they're not a meetup organizer, it's almost like you should try to become a meetup organizer just to come to this event, so you get an invite, because this has been a very interesting, unique event. It's a meetup of meetups. It's a all the when else do organizers cluster at this kind of ratio, I guess, or this kind of density, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's a very cool event because everyone in the audience is knowledgeable. Everyone in the audience could be a presenter, and we all are very humble by listening to each other and speak, and it's amazing. I love it. Everything was very interesting. I just wanted to also give a shout out to Bitcoin Plus Plus because it's a very high quality event that had their first conference this year.
Yep.
It's a technical conference, and I like to promote technical things. And obviously, there's TABConf that is another technical focused conference. So
Totally, man. And this was just such an experiment, and it was a whim for me, Matt and I to do this Grassroots Bitcoin. We didn't know if it was going to be like 5 of us or how many people would respond. So
can't wait for the one next year.
I know that was a good job by saying, "Hey, it's going to be an annual event here at Bitcoin Park." But that is our goal.
Okay, good.
Yeah. But we only have a finite amount. Even though we have a beautiful campus and it's pretty big compared to other things like a conference room and such, but there's only a finite amount of space to make it a good special place. So we'll probably be in that 100-person range. So I was actually talking to a Waste Slice about this. When you get to a product market fit or a founder market fit, like there's product market fit with TABConf, you get 500 people come plus, right? And maybe tracking towards 600, 750, max out at 1,000.
Yeah, we want to keep in that sweet spot because, I mean, how many Bitcoin Core developers are there ever going to be at the same time? It's probably not going to be several thousand. You know what I mean? That's a lot of cooks and chefs in the kitchen.
How many Bitcoin Core developers are there, you think?
It depends, obviously, how you define a Bitcoin Core developer.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were probably look at the most like active contributors, we're looking at probably 20, 30.
Yeah.
And then if you start going out to the more casual contributors with another 50, 60 kind of, it starts to go. And then you get to people like me who have one contribution, commit in the Bitcoin repo. And my commit is like BS. It's of no real value.
But
So
in your Twitter profile, you're like first sentence is Bitcoin Core contributor.
I don't do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But so some people, that's why I was bringing it up. Some people consider anyone who has a commit in the Bitcoin/Bitcoin repo as a core contributor. I think that's very, very generous. I don't think that's true. I think it's someone who is active as a Bitcoin Core developer.
But then you get into semantics. What's like
exactly?
active?
It's very subjective.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I'll say this: we had no expectations, and the point was with the Waste Slice. So to grow, it's like you can increase ticket prices and increase your number of attendees. You could maintain a certain number of attendees, but increase the ticket price. Or you could be highly curating your attendee base and then make sure that you hit a specific price point just to cover your costs and maybe make a little bit of money, just so that you can fund future events. And I think we're going to see a lot more curation and targeted and focused events like this. BTC++, I think, is a perfect example of that. And I think there's going to be more of these across the globe. Pre-COVID, I don't know how much you were traveling, but whether it was to Riga, Berlin, Tel Aviv, all these amazing places. I think we're going to see that pop up not only in the United States more, to your earlier point that you're making, but across the globe.
Let me just say real quick, the plan to scale TABConf, if and when we need to, the goal is to scale it through villages. So we just buy a larger venue, and then we're still hands off. So we just similar to the DEF CON model, where we might focus on one or two things, but then we give the rest away to the community to run their own events. And that's because that's less logistics programming, less overhead. You have like a more organic kind of, free market kind of free form kind of form the content, and it's puts less stress and less overhead because then you don't need to raise money to hire staff to
Totally.
program stuff out. So we definitely want to scale with the village approach, have less talks on the main stage and more village activities, and the villages start recording stuff if they want to, stuff like that, where you're not really thinking about going to TABConf per se. For the sake of going to TABConf, you're interested in going to TABConf for a couple of different villages.
That's cool.
um yeah.
So here we got a code. What's this? Are we about to able to publicize this code?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll keep this code for the pod. So anyone who wants to come to TABConf, where we have a promo code Grassroots. It is not a steep code, but it is a discount that will give you some money off. The reason we can't give steep discounts is because we literally make no money off the conference, and we do want to start reducing our costs year to year, and that means acquiring,
Assets, yeah.
projectors and screens and microphones and all that kind of stuff. So we do, I think it is very interesting to think about TABConf acquiring all these assets and then saying like, hey, which conferences around, the Southeast or, around the US need this, and we can like maybe timeshare this stuff.
I'll raise my hand because we need a lot of stuff here at Bitcoin
Yeah.
Park. I will say this, like, that's why if any younger folks are listening, having multiple revenue streams, I think is very key. And so not having a direct thing where your make or break is like an event. Like there's so many indirect things where you can gain exposure. You can maybe find a new job. You can find a new skill set. You can find a new person you can meet. That's why doing these kind of events helps expand your network and a number of other fronts that can lead to a number of other opportunities. That's why, at least I think, by being break even or just getting close to break even is key when you're focused on developing events. That's why Matt and I, did Grassroots and didn't charge anybody, just invited folks that were meetup organizers.
Like I said, I love it. And I would love, I'm just letting you know, I obviously don't live in Tennessee, and I'm probably not going to use this as like a co-working spot or anything, but I would love to contribute to the success of this place, in the little way I can, whether that means $50, or $100, whatever it might be.
Thanks, man.
I think having something like that, because this is a very, you guys in Austin are really kind of leading the frontier. Atlanta, we have some stuff going on. It's not but it's not as sophisticated as you guys in Austin and Nashville right now.
So I had Steven on the podcast, and he did drop this. Should we talk about Terminus? Actually, I'll let him save it for his pod.
I like that. Yeah.
Michael, where can people find you, and how do you want to? Any closing thoughts?
My closing thoughts are, let's see.
But by the way, let me, while you think of something, let me just say this. I'm very impressed. Like, for somebody that I do mining, I do a bunch of things in the Bitcoin space. And then I also host a meetup. I host workshops. I host a bunch of other things. So it takes some, not just time, but mental energy just to figure this out and then follow up and being authentic and consistent and making sure we're just not like, going too over your skis and just shipping something, because I personally take a lot of pride and responsibility in creating these experiences, because I know these people, whether they're 65-year-old plus people coming or like the 18-year-old kid that's taken 2 bus rides just to come, a lot of pride and responsibility in that experience. I just want to say, like, looking at those villages, hearing so many great things about TABConf, super impressed with what you've been building, and continue to kick ass, my man.
Thank you. My closing thoughts are, TABConf is it's a community event at the end of the day. It's run by the people who come. The people who come make it great. And if you want to be part of this, I hope to see you there. I hope you want to be part of this greatness that we're building. Part of this, I don't want to say like TABConf family, because families of 500 plus kind of get, kind of it might be a little exaggerated, but we do want to like make sure people understand this is a community-driven event. This is an event for you, and we literally, out of our blood, sweat, and tears, are trying to take all the logistical complexities out of this experience for people who want to organize events. So if you are interested and you do have a brainchild, if you have a thought of like an ideal conference and you want all the complexity out of it and you don't care about making money, talk to us and we will be happy to think about a village for 2023.
Where can people find you?
So TABConf, TABConf, Twitter. My personal is Mike21 spelled out. So it's Mike20 like spelled out and a 1 on the end. That's a mouthful. And yeah, we're responsive to the DMs on the TABConf Twitter.
Awesome.
I'm responsive to my personal DMs. Yeah, if you need to reach out, just reach out to me on Twitter. That's the easiest way.
Buddy, thank you so much for spending time with us. Please drive safe, and I cannot wait to hang again. And we'll probably be hanging in Atlanta, so I'll see you there.
Rod, can I get a commitment for you to come to a TABConf right now?
Let me do this. You know how many kids I have, right?
I told you about I didn't tell you about the child daycare village. I told you about the Bitcoin child daycare
Am
village.
I the one leading this village?
Yeah. You're the village leader. You didn't know that? We have a nice big, 40 square foot plot in the corner for you.
That's
and we
great.
have a bunch of bassinets. And
Yeah, that's great. I'm going to do everything in my power to be there. I don't want to just say I'm going to be there, then rug pull you and not be there. How about this?
we'll make sure to edit this where we cut out where it's like, I'll make sure to be there.
Don't listen to that, Tom. But if as long as we got everything lined up, how about this? If I'm not with the fam and I need to have a prior commitment with the family, there's no other place I would be than in Atlanta, Georgia, and I drive right over, stay at the Omni, and be there for actually all 4 days. Even though I'm not technical, and I would, here's what I would do if I'm not technical, and I'm not. I would go and buddy up with one of my technical friends, local or who I met today or over the past 2 days at Grassroots, and be like, hey, can we be buddies? And I can be looking over your shoulder and just see how they interact and what they're working on and so on. And just, it's kind of like going to a bit devs and you're sitting there and you're like, I was able to comprehend like 1% of what everyone's talking about. And then it just compounds over time. Then 1% becomes like maybe like 2% and then 4% or so on. And you're most likely never going to become proficient, but you'll be a bit lethal, but more educated in terms of the conversations that you may have. Like
it's better to feel overwhelmed than bored and complacent.
Totally.
So if you're surrounding yourself with smart people, and when I say smart, I don't use that lightly. I mean people that are go-getters, they're passionate, they're hungry, they're there. It's like it's hard to explain when I say being surrounded by smart people, being surrounded by enthusiastic people who actually give a shit.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And it's contagious, and hope to see you there if you can come.
And let me say one more thing. Free and open source devs are a totally different breed than just tech devs or even crypto. They're working on stuff and hacky stuff and building on, you had a laundry list of amazing things. And I think that was just a sampling from Taro to LDK to hacking Lightning to Jeremy Rubin's like 98% of smart contracts being built on or playing a video game or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
To
we all don't know what that one is.
Yeah.
We'll all have to figure it out at the conference.
Nice. And I'm wondering why it's 90%, what the other 2% is.
We'll have to see what the last 2% we're missing is.
But I say all that is go and attend. This is the one to attend. That's for sure.
Thank you so much for saying that.
Awesome, man. Keep kicking butt, buddy.
You too.
Cheers. Hey, everyone. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Michael as much as I did. Planning and executing a successful and engaging Bitcoin conference is no easy feat, but TABConf is clearly in good hands with Michael and his co-organizers. If you're enjoying the pod and want to auto-magically stay up to date, please like and subscribe in your favorite podcasting app, and make sure auto download is on. This would also mean the world to me. Lastly, come visit us in Bitcoin Park here in Nashville, Tennessee. The Bitcoin community here and beyond is inspiring more than ever, and it's growing. We hinted at a number of events, workshops, and meetups. More to come on this, especially in 2023. So if you want to be the first to know, join our meetup page at bitcoinpark.co and our Discord community server, which you can find in the show notes. Until next time.